Okay, guys, we're going to try this for round 2. Mrs. Morgan is having a little bit of technical difficulties today. So, when we stopped yesterday, we finished question number 5, and today we're going to be looking at question number 6, 7, and 8. Questions that you can use your brain for mostly. The first one bounces us to Andrew Clement's book, The School Story is Realistic Fiction. Describe 3 elements of the story that are realistic. So, I'll give you one. Natalie's mom is a working mom. Half of our moms work outside the home. That's a realistic thing that could happen. Okay, things in the story that really can happen are things that you should write down. So 3 complete sentences would be a great thing right there of 3 things that could really happen. Okay, now we're going to be listening to where it picks up about how Natalie feels guilty. On number 7, it says, describe how Natalie's thoughts on Saturday night impact her actions in the story. Why would she feel guilty? Why would she be worried? So here we go. Let's press play.
Natalie felt guilty. Her envelope wasn't in a heap somewhere in a dark office. Her story was in the editor's briefcase. The editor's boss had assigned her story as homework. Natalie sat up in bed and looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. She groped for the phone on her bedstand and punched the glowing buttons. Zoe answered on the 3rd ring, groggy and grumpy. Hello? It's me, Zoe. I've got to tell you what happened. It took Natalie about 2 minutes to tell Zoe how her story found its way home with the editor for the weekend. Zoe was wide awake now. So she read it? Did she like it? What did she say when she finished it? Come on, tell me. Well, she hasn't read it yet. Not yet. She hasn't read it yet. So why did you call me in the middle of the night? Natalie hesitated. Because I feel bad. I feel like the girl in my book. I feel like I'm a cheater too. All those other stories at my mom's office, stories that she'll never even look at, and here's my story and it's all the way up at the head of the line. It just doesn't feel fair. That's all. Not fair? Who said things are fair? It's never fair. Natalie, you're a great writer and someone like me isn't. Is that fair? Is it? Well, no.
Let's go ahead and pause here and let's take a look at how we could answer number 7. Describe how Natalie's thoughts on Saturday night impact her actions in the story. So, first off, she's talking about how she's guilty. She feels guilty, it says, in the middle of page 28, because her envelope wasn't in a heap somewhere in a dark office. Her story was in an editor's briefcase. Well, everybody else's is at the bottom of that stack. Okay, and then she also feels guilty because she says it's not fair. Why should she get a better chance than everyone else? Then you have Zoe, who is explaining to her, wait a second, what do you mean not fair? So Zoe's perception of this situation is a little bit different than Natalie's. It all just depends on your personality. So if you take a look at number 8, after you answer 7, this is going to be your opinion. I want you to write if you think Natalie should have told her mom that she is the true author of the manuscript, why or why not. Okay, so this is going to be your opinion. Okay, I want you, would you not? Now listen to some of the other things that Zoe has to say and we'll talk about that.
Oh, I guess not, said Natalie. But you're great at things I stink at. Exactly, said Zoe. It all evens out. It seems unfair, but it's not. Your mom is a good editor at a good publishing company, and someone else's mom isn't. Is that fair? No, not really. Of course it's not fair. It's just the way it is. Didn't you have to work hard to write your book, just as hard as those other writers did? Natalie nodded as she answered, Yeah, I did. I worked hard. So do you know why your book is going to get looked at and some of those other ones aren't? It's because you are who you are, and your mom is who she is, and you worked hard to write a great book. Zoe paused to let that sink in. Then she said, and
I'm going to pause there again. I want you to note Zoe's pressure. Okay, Zoe responds to her statement when Natalie says things aren't fair. Okay, Zoe is telling Natalie that it seems unfair, but it's really isn't. It's just the way things in life are. So you can decide which opinion you would take on that. Are you a Natalie where you would not think it was fair, that you think everybody should be considered, or are you a Zoe who is just like all in, like I did it, it's fair because I worked hard? Zoe's going to end this page describing, like, wait a second, you're a great writer, you deserve this. So hyping up her best friend versus making her feel down before she goes to bed. This will be the last page that we read for Wednesday's work.
There's another reason your book will get published and most of those others won't. Natalie asked, why's that? In her best agent voice, Zoe said, because you have a great agent and those other schnooks don't. Now listen, Cassandra, I'm giving you good advice. You hear me? You hang up now and you get a good night's sleep and just stop thinking so much. You artists are all alike. Thinking. Not to worry, darling. Zizi is going to take good care of you. After hanging up, Nally felt better, but it still took another hour to get to sleep. And even after her lecture to Cassandra, Zizi lay awake doing some thinking of her own.
All right, so let's go ahead and pause there. So you should have answered questions 6, 7, and 8 for today's work. Tomorrow we will finish the last page in our story, and you will answer 9 and 10 to prepare us for getting ready to take our test in Google Forms. So tomorrow we're going to wrap this up, and then I'm going to ask that tomorrow night or after we get off the story that you go and you read this story to yourself, you read it to your mom, a sibling, something, because I think it would be beneficial for you to grasp all of the concepts before we take our test. As any test that you take in my class, you are always allowed to use your book when you're taking your test. So when you have that test on Friday, you should be able to pop that book open and go ahead and take a look at it. And then following our test on Friday, on Monday, we're going to do a little project about understanding our character and a little character trait. So hopefully that goes home in your folder Friday. No promises. I will let you know what actually happens on that. We can always go ahead and print it out and hopefully have you guys decorating something on a piece of paper if that's available. So thank you for listening today.